The Great Escape from Alcatraz, a tale of courage, ingenuity, and mystery. In the shadowy depths of the San Francisco Bay, perched on a solitary island surrounded by treacherous waters and powerful tides, lies a fortress that has become a symbol of unbreakable confinement. Alcatraz, once a prison for the nation's most notorious criminals, stood as the epitome of inescapability. It's a high barbed wire fence, imposing concrete walls, and relentless surveillance made it seem like an eternal prison, a place from which no one could flee. Yet, on the night of June 11th, 1962, three men pulled off what many believed to be impossible: a daring escape from a seemingly impregnable prison. The true story of the escape from Alcatraz remains a blend of fact, legend, and mystery, captivating the imagination of millions. It's a tale not only of cunning, daring, and defiance, but also of human resilience in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. The escape was audacious, complex, and fraught with peril. Despite extensive investigations and speculations, the fate of the three escapees remains one of the most intriguing unsolved mysteries in American criminal history. Did they survive? Or did the cold, unforgiving waters of the bay claim their lives? This story delves deeply into the escape from Alcatraz, exploring the events leading up to that fateful night, preparation and execution of the escape, and the aftermath, all while drawing upon the historical details and dramatic elements to fully capture the complexity and mystery surrounding one of the most legendary prison escapes of all time. The prison on the rock, Alcatraz's reputation for incarceration. Before diving into the escape itself, it is crucial to understand the context and the significance of Alcatraz as a prison. Located on an island approximately 1.25 miles off the coast of San Francisco, Alcatraz Penitentiary was established in 1934 by the U.S. government to house the nation's most dangerous criminals. It was designed to be a high-security prison, a place where escape was not just unlikely, but seemingly impossible. The isolated location, the strong tidal currents of the bay, and the cold waters acted as natural barriers that made escape an incredibly risky endeavor. Over the years, Alcatraz became the home to infamous criminals such as gangster Al Capone, murderer Robert Stroud, also known as the Birdman of Alcatraz, a bank robber George Machine Gun Kelly. The prisoners were subjected to harsh conditions, with limited interaction with the outside world. Escape attempts were frequent, but all were unsuccessful, adding to the prison's reputation for being inescapable. But the conditions inside Alcatraz were not just physically grueling, they were mentally taxing as well. Prisoners were subjected to a strict routine, with little opportunity for personal freedom. The institution's motto: keep them in, keep them quiet, and keep them in line, was a reflection of its controlling approach to discipline. For many of the inmates, the idea of escape wasn't just a longing for freedom. It was a fight against the crushing despair of an eternal sentence in the most notorious prison in America. The men who attempted the escape. The men who attempted the escape from Alcatraz were three individuals who had spent years in prison, each serving long sentences for a variety of crimes. The three escapees were Frank Morris and brothers John and Clarence Anglin. Each of them had a different background and reason for being incarcerated, but what they shared in common was their desire for freedom and their determination to break free from their prison cells. Frank Morris, the mastermind. Frank Morris was the mastermind behind the escape. Born in 1926 in Washington, D.C., Morris had a history of criminal behavior that started at a young age. He had been arrested multiple times for crimes ranging from robbery to assault. In 1960, Morris was sent to Alcatraz for his involvement in a series of bank robberies and other felonies. He was classified as a highly dangerous inmate, having escaped from multiple previous prisons. His intelligence, resourcefulness, and manipulative skills made him a prime candidate for a daring escape. Morris's escape plan was years in the making. He spent his time in Alcatraz meticulously studying the prison structure and routines, learning every detail about the guard shifts, the layout of the prison, and the potential weaknesses in the system. He also spent a significant amount of time cultivating relationships with other inmates, carefully choosing those who would assist him in his bold endeavor. The Anglin brothers, partners in crime. John and Clarence Anglin were two brothers from Georgia who had been serving time in Alcatraz for their involvement in bank robberies. They were well known for their ability to plan and execute crimes with precision. Both men had attempted to escape from other prisons before they were sent to Alcatraz, but they had been caught. When they arrived at the island, they were classified as dangerous and kept under strict surveillance. However, their shared desperation for freedom and their close relationship with Frank Morris would eventually lead them to join forces in one of the most daring escapes in American history. While Frank Morris was the mastermind, it was the Anglin brothers who played a crucial role in the practical aspects of the escape. Their intimate knowledge of each other allowed them to communicate and work together with remarkable coordination, despite the limitations of being in different cells within the prison. The escape plan, ingenious and audacious. The escape was not a spontaneous decision. It was carefully planned and executed over a period of months. Morris and the Anglins had spent months making small preparations, including crafting tools, studying the prison's routines, and working out the logistics of their escape. They also used their time to gather materials, some of which were stolen or crafted from items they managed to smuggle. The dummies. One of the most creative aspects of the escape was the use of dummies. The men spent several months constructing life-size dummies out of materials they had scavenged. These dummies were placed in their cells to create the illusion that they were still inside, sleeping soundly, while the escapees worked on their escape plan undetected. The dummies were made from prison-issued clothing, stuffed with newspaper, and had faces created from melted soap, toothpaste, and other materials. Their hair was made from real human hair, which the men had procured by cutting pieces from their own heads. The dummies were placed in the cells at night, carefully arranged to appear as if the prisoners were still asleep. The guards who conducted regular head counts were fooled by the illusion, which allowed the men to work undisturbed during the night. The hole in the wall. The next step of the plan was to create an opening in the back of their cells. Over time, the men used a variety of tools, including spoons and other implements, to dig away at the soft cement around the ventilation grills. These grills were part of the prison's ventilation system. Though they were reinforced, they were not impenetrable. As months passed, Morrison and the Anglins made slow but steady progress, carving out holes large enough for them to crawl through. But their time to escape was ready to take place. Each of the three men had created a hole in the back of their cell that led them into a utility corridor behind the walls of the prison. They used makeshift tools to widen the holes, making it possible for them to escape the confines of their cells. They carefully planned their exit to avoid being detected by the guards. The night of the escape, June 11th, 1962. The night of June 11th, 1962 was chosen for the escape because the prisoners knew the guards would be procured with a night shift, allowing them to move with relative freedom. The men began their escape shortly after the night's head count, knowing that the guards would assume everything was normal and that the dummies in their cells were still in place. Once they had crawled through the holes in their cells, they made their way into the utility corridor, which ran behind the walls of the prison. They had prepared the escape route in advance, following a complex system of pipes and tunnels. Their movements were precise and calculated, and they managed to avoid detection by the guards. They moved stealthily, using a series of secret passages to make their way to the prison's roof. From the roof, the men descended a series of pipes and then made their way to the water's edge. The final stage of the escape involved crossing the dangerous waters of the bay, which were known for their strong currents and frigid temperatures. The escapees had built a makeshift raft and planned to paddle to freedom. They left behind a trail of personal items, such as clothing and shoes, to confuse the authorities and suggest that they had drowned during their escape. In the aftermath, the hunt for the escapees. The escape was discovered the following morning when the guards conducted their head count and realized that the three men were missing. Panic swept through the prison as authorities launched an immediate search. The FBI was brought in to investigate the escape, and a massive manhunt was initiated. Despite their best efforts, the authorities were unable to find any concrete evidence for the escapees' fate. In the days and the weeks following the escape, authorities scoured the bay and surrounding areas searching for any signs of the men. They had found evidence that suggested the men had reached the mainland, but no definitive proof. Some claimed to have seen the escapees in the area, but these reports were inconclusive. The mystery. Did they survive? To this day, the fate of Frank Morris and the England brothers remains unknown. Despite extensive investigations, no bodies were ever recovered, and no definitive evidence has emerged to prove that the men drowned in the waters of the bay. Some believe the men were able to escape to freedom, possibly fleeing to South America or hiding out somewhere in the United States. Others believe that the men drowned in the bay, their bodies carried away by the currents. The escape from Alcatraz has become one of the greatest mysteries in American criminal history. It is a story that continues to capture the imagination of people around the world, and it has been subject to books, movies, and documentaries. The escape was daring, audacious, and incredibly well executed, but it remains unsolved, a testament to the ingenuity and perseverance of the three men who defied the odds and made a bid for freedom. In the end, the escape from Alcatraz is not just a tale of crime and punishment. It is the story of human spirit, the desire for freedom, and the lengths that some will go in order to escape the shackles of imprisonment. Whether or not the escapees survived, their audacity and determination have left a lasting mark on the history of American crime, and the mystery of their fate continues to captivate people to this day. Conclusion: a legacy of legend. The escape from Alcatraz is more than just a tale of prison breakouts. It is a story that has transcended the boundaries of time, evolving into a legend that daring, clever, and calculated nature of the escape, combined with the mystery of the escapee's ultimate fate, has left a deep mark on American culture. Alcatraz, once a symbol of inescapable punishment, became a backdrop for a story of defiance, and the escape itself continues to intrigue, inspire, and perplex generations to come. Whether or not Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers truly made it to freedom is something only they knew for certain. However, their story remains an enduring reminder of the lengths to which some will go in pursuit of liberty, and of the unsolved mysteries that still capture our collective imagination.